Very often surprising things happen in life. You'll have a thought about butterflies and suddenly there'll be butterflies all over the place. You'll make a deal with God that if I see roses, then X, Y, or Z is going to happen. And what do you know? The streets are filled with roses. Or you won't even deliberately plan it, but just the same five, clues will come to you. I mean, what is going on? It's a natural question. Coincidence, synchronicity. There's all kinds of words that you can use. Karma, God's will, intuition. The fundamental point that's being illustrated here is that this is an integrated universe. The best way to think about the way life works, and not just this incarnation, but all the ones before and the ones after. If you think about a tapestry, a big tapestry in which there's many scenes conveyed in the same picture, and you look over here and there's people sitting under a tree having a picnic, and you look over here and there's one athlete running up the mountain, and you look over here and there's a storm at sea, all these different pictures, and each one seems independent and complete in itself. But if you look at it, you see it's the warp and the woof of the weaving, that there's the horizontal thread and the vertical thread, and it all comes together to make this picture. And there's no point in that picture when you can just cut out the people who are having the picnic and separate them from the storm at sea and pretend that this one exists all by itself and it's unrelated to this one. It's one continuous thread all the way through, and all of it is interrelated, and none of it could exist in the same way without being in relationship to all the others. So it is not surprising that the same themes appear in your life repeatedly. And on another level, what's going on is that this is an energy universe. The fact that we perceive it as a material universe with our physical senses gives us the impression it gives us the impression that one physical thing is unrelated to another physical thing, or that today is not the same as tomorrow, and that time itself is linear. All these different illusions are created because we can only perceive with the physical senses. But there's also something in us that just senses this much deeper reality, intuits this deeper reality. I'm sure you've had the same experiences that I've had, where you meet someone for the first time in this incarnation, but there's just, them. This is what love at first sight is. We have these wonderful romantic stories. As soon as I saw her across the room, I knew she was the woman I would marry. And this is the story that's told at their 50th wedding anniversary. And it's just true. I've had that experience where someone I met after 15 minutes, it's just, this is a lifelong friend. And so it has proved to be. These are not just sentimental thoughts, these are things that actually happen, because this is an energy universe. This is the more subtle explanation of the threads in the tapestry. That's a physical kind of picture, but energy is all connected. There's no point at which the energy sort of ends and then it turns into nothingness. These are scientific facts that I am not qualified to explain, but have been explained in the way that energy in any one place, it ripples out and affects everything. Throw a stone into a pond and you'll watch the ripples happen. You know that something is happening underneath. It's hitting the shore, and then that has its ripple effect. Where does it stop? Where do you cut it? Where do you say that this exists completely independent of anyone else? One of my, one of the, a Buddhist teacher, she was extremely interesting, and she had to cancel a very important program that she had scheduled because she'd come down with a terrible cold, and she didn't have a voice and she didn't have the energy, so she had to cancel it. And later she talked about the experience as the way she finally began to understand karma. She said the reason that she got sick is because she was taking care of one of her grandbabies, and the baby was ill, and the baby sneezed a number of times in grandma's face, and as a result she got sick, and then she couldn't do the program. Now the program doesn't seem to have much to do with the grandbaby, but the baby was why she was sick, why she couldn't do the program. Well, how did she happen to have a grandbaby? Well, she has a grandbaby because she has a daughter. And then that daughter married someone, and then they got pregnant, and then the grandbaby was born. Well, how did she happen to have a daughter? Well, she has a daughter because she has a husband. Well, how does she happen to have a husband? Because she chose to go to this particular university, and one day she had to go to a bookstore in order to get a textbook for a class that she decided to take. And in the bookstore, she ran into this man that she loved immediately, whom she eventually married, and they had a daughter. And then how did he happen to be there? And it all goes back to Adam and Eve. You just keep tracing it. One thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. So wow, no surprise that from time to time these things interact. And on a metaphysical level, once we start talking about life being an energy pattern, I am an energy pattern. You are an energy pattern. This physical body is an ephemeral part of who we are. This physical body just dies. It goes into a box, it goes into a ground, it goes into an incinerator. It disappears. But you don't disappear and I don't disappear. I mean, this has been ancient wisdom, spiritual truth forever. But now, with all these advances in medical science, we have all this testimony of individuals whose physical bodies go away, die, the heart stops beating, the brain stops, everything stops. And the person, my self-identity, my self-awareness, I just step out of the body and I'm still there. And most remarkably, I'm still myself. Just like there we are. Nothing has changed except I'm not wearing my body anymore. Just as when I put on my pajamas, I'm still myself. When I put on my bathing suit to go swim laps at the YMCA, trust me, I look a lot different than I look right now. I don't think I really want to show you a picture of it, but it's still me. It's still me inside. So we changed this body multiple times. It's still me. How does that transfer take place? The energy pattern. It's the energy that makes me who I am. I mean, look at me just talking to you. Yes, I'm sitting here inside a body and there's a face and you may recognize it, but what you're receiving is my energy. You're receiving the thoughts. You're receiving the channel that I am for these teachings and for the masters who trained me. All of this, that's really who I am. And that has a metaphysical reality, an enduring metaphysical reality, which is the chakra system, which is why everybody's so fascinated with the chakras, because the chakras really are the key to this continuing awareness and this continuing expression and evolution of self-awareness. So the chakra system is like a magnet. It emanates a force that draws to us exactly what we need in order for us to take the next step in our personal development. And so the emanating force of the chakras, what the chakras are actually is they are the repository and the activation of the power of karma. Because karma is simply cause and effect. This is where it gets into the physics of our time. Energy, action, reaction, action, reaction. And what karma really is about is something that we don't yet understand about the ultimate nature of reality. So our chakras are always vibrating with certain kinds of unlearned lessons, the karma that's in the chakras, and so it attracts to us the opportunity to learn what we don't already know. And so it's not a surprise that we attract, for example, butterflies, or that we attract roses, or we attract our life partner, or we attract germs so that we get sick, so that we have to face disappointment, so we have to go through all of these other learning experiences. So synchronicity and karma and coincidence and intuition, it all comes together most magnificently when we open ourselves to the understanding that the material world is just a means to an end, and what's really happening in this world is an opportunity for self-development through an ever expansion of consciousness in an interrelated universe. We are a part of all that is, and that great reality helps us, speaks to us, in fact, loves us, guides us and blesses us in everything that we do.